Here we go for our morning matcha. My lovey right here. So, speak.
No.
I've
Speak
been
on command.
told that I speak too much by some of our audience, so I think this should be a Raven talking episode.
Josie.
I drink to
Josie.
Raven.
Yeah, I'll drink too. I'll drink to Raven too. Well, what I'd like to focus on today is expressing my gratitude for people who did not give in to fear. Maybe they initially did, but then started to do their own research and found out what's really going on underneath the superficial stories that we're being fed every day, and all the demands and commands to do this, don't do that, all these impingements on our freedom. Make sure it's like now they're in California, the county health official is demanding, I love this, they demand that every single Californian has to wear a mask outdoors.
And a G-string, I think. That was the other part of it. Yeah.
You know, so here to the people that find their own ways to say, because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And they've shown that the masks do nothing. All they do is create more litter in an already over-littered world. Yeah.
In all seriousness, it's been proven, my sources, proven that the anus emits more risky emissions than the mouth. So really, we should walk around. But the thing is, you can't tell someone's wearing their special anal protective gear. So therefore, people will have to very soon walk around with transparent pants on, trousers, whatever, so that you can see for sure that they're wearing their anal guard.
Robo-dogs sniffing it up and
butt
taking
sniffers.
it, butt sniffers, and taking in the data for the data collectors, all the contact tracers that they're training out. I'm like, what the fuck? This is madness. People don't realize that this is insanity. We're actually seeing the level of insanity in the world. And you know what? Maybe in terms of the contrast, it shows me what the fuck I don't want. I'm not interested in entertaining, arguing, or discussing with that kind of blindness. Fuck off. At this point, fuck off.
There's no excuse for that level.
No.
That doesn't mean people can have whatever they believe, whatever they think. But I'm just curious, is there a single being out there that can honestly say that nothing is absurd, nothing is strange, nothing is suspicious, that literally you just follow the word of the law, you just follow what's spoon-fed to you, and all those in charge can do no wrong, can make no mistakes, they've got it all right, everything is paved with gold, that you just follow these rules, and gradually you will reach this pinnacle of a heavenly space where there will be a vaccine coming down from the heavens to shove into your wherever and fill you full of these magical energies that will protect you forever, guaranteed no fallout from this, no collateral damage, no nothing. It is precision made by the experts who know all, are maybe from some higher level of being. That's why they can know all this stuff. Is there anyone out there? I would like to find one person who can honestly say there's nothing suspicious about any of this.
Well, you'll find them because there's people of all kinds of beliefs.
But would seriously, honestly say this, knowing what they're saying?
They could say whatever the fuck they want. Do they have anything to back it up? Well, we know how many scientists are also on the take, so it's really hard to say. It really is hard to say. But I know the world that I want to live in and what it's going to look like, and it's not looking like it is right now. Absolutely not. So farewell to people that once had friendships with that are no longer friends. That's
Go in
how
peace.
it goes. Go in peace.
No judgment, no anger.
Move on. Move along. Not interested. You have your beliefs, take them with you. I have my beliefs, I'll take them with me.
Yeah, and if someone's comfortable with their beliefs, there's nothing, there's no problems there.
The problem is, as just like with the whole thing going on in California with the mask, is that they can't feel safe unless everybody's doing it, and that's it. That's where it becomes an infringement on our human rights, our God-given rights. And yeah, maybe there are people that don't believe in God, whatever. I believe in God. I believe in the infinite. And I do believe we are born here sovereign beings, although we are born into slavery, that we become conditioned by the slavery paradigm that we are born into. But that doesn't mean we are bound by it. We can also be like, the heroes of the past that rose up and said, fuck this. And they can be and we'll have our new cultural heroes now too. And it won't be Elon Musk, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he's a shapeshifter, I'd call him. He's hired by those above him to masquerade as a go-between, like wallpaper. He presents himself at the time in a convenient manner that makes people really like him. Like the whole Tesla car thing that he ripped off the name from Tesla. I don't know if Tesla would be happy with Elon Musk's contributions. He'd probably see right through it. But Elon Musk is hired, for sure, my belief, to be a front man and to win people over. And he's definitely managed to some degree, because that many talks that he's done about the neural threading, the Neuralink, I posted that, one of them, and where it's him talking on purpose so that no one can say, well, it's someone else speaking for him. And he speaks for a long time, so it can't be taken out of context. And I didn't get a single comment on it at all. So either no one watched it, or people don't get why that's an issue.
And yet, when he recently came out in his disinfo strategy, protesting the lockdown so that he can resonate with those of us who are opposed to the lockdown.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Like 1 minute he's got one minute he says that, what were his terminology for sort of the whole cyber robotic option was...
AI or the highway?
Well, he said something like it was Satan, or it was the devil, or it was
whatever.
some
Once upon a time.
equation, right?
Yeah.
Whereas now he says you have to join.
You have to merge
with in order to not get swallowed up by it.
And he's got just the neural threading for you.
Yeah.
But he's also opposed to lockdown.
Well, at the moment it's fashionable for whatever reason for him to say that. I really believe he's a puppet, and he will say whatever they think would be the best thing right now to distract, to merge, to whatever. That's a clear one. Everyone's got a role, right? Elon Musk has his role. Bill Gates has his role. Like even Obama still has his role. Like a lot of them, they're meant to stay silent for a while, and then they'll pop up at the right time with some kind of take on something.
But they're all being unmasked now. So over the next few weeks, we'll hear a lot about Obamagate and all this other stuff coming out. So we'll see. Yeah, everyone's famous ex-president, a favorite of some.
You know what I'm in favor of in general is the whole facade coming down, and I don't care what side it's on.
I agree.
I'm not invested in a side. I just want the illusion to come down.
I think it's going to happen. I mean, we had that stellium of planets that was in Capricorn for the longest fucking time. Pluto's still in Capricorn and in retrograde right now. So I'm not an astrologer, but there are amazing astrologers out there, and this is why this is the time of the great revealing. It is the time of the great revealing as well, and therefore hopefully the great awakening. And it is, more and more people are waking up, but there will always be those that just dig their heels in deeper. It's, they're ruled by fear. Perhaps the biggest fear being the fear of dying. But you know what? However this plays out, I'm not going to be afraid of dying.
No.
No matter what. But I will not get a mandatory vaccine. I will not get chipped or any of that shit. Forget it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, if there was a mandatory cut your arm off, how many people are going to line up for that?
Unless it's their fetish.
Well, it may sound like I'm being stupid, but I'm not. If there was something that to you was so absurd and like, why would you want to do that? Then it becomes really simple to make that choice, or to understand why someone would say no. But I don't think it's an absurd leap. Like the level of control, the level of access they have, the level that you surrender your freedom to them with, and I'm sure there are some people out there that will say to a doctor, I need to see all the specs on this vaccine before I make my choice. And then based on that direct knowledge that's put in front of them, assuming they are given the full correct information, because I've heard a lot of these ingredients are given different names, happens on our food supplies, jars and things. You're looking for MSG and there's none of it, and then you find out, oh, well, they just gave them different names. So
They call it glutamate, just glutamate, not monosodium glutamate.
So it's the same thing. Same thing. They'll give you a little song and dance and stuff. But I'm just curious how many people will seriously ask for this information and then base their decision on that. And I'm sure there are some.
Well, I saw an article recently that is estimating that at least 50% of Americans are going to get the vaccine by choice. I was actually surprised that it was that high. I don't know why I was surprised. I thought people were more savvy, especially after that Vaxxed documentary that came out that was endorsed by even some Hollywood types.
Ray, there's plenty of people out there that just will, if someone else says to them, don't watch that, they won't watch it. Yeah. Like they literally will follow the word of the whatever. I won't even say the law.
And the thing is, it's also the elderly who, as a routine, have been getting the flu shots every year. My parents are among them.
They follow a guideline and they think they're going to be safe.
And they feel that that's what's required for them to live into retirement. I just don't trust them.
What I find interesting are, the people, family members included, who will make a broad sweep and go, there's nothing here that alerts me or makes me suspicious. It's just a beautiful blanket of an answer as far as vaccines topic goes. And yet if you look back just on flu shots, they're constantly saying, oh, we got the wrong one, so yeah, this year it's not working because we all put our focus on this type of bug, and it turned out that it's these two instead, or whatever. And then they also miss completely, so some purposeful blindness. They either don't research, and this is in the case of medical professionals, so I figure it's turning a blind eye to all the people who get a reaction of some kind, whether it's just getting the flu after they got the flu shot, getting a worse flu, the real mundane little things, even like they're even glanced over and not acknowledged. So that's when my suspicion pops up, when I see people acting according to the idea that there is absolutely perfection in this model. Nothing goes wrong, nothing can And yet I see actual mundane even proof daily as these things unfold over the years with flus. But yet those religiously, I don't know, bought by this belief, just they don't see it all. It's like there's an eraser built in or something that they don't catch little things that you'd think a human being would catch and question and go, well, yeah, I'm choosing the vaccine even though I do have issue with these aspects to it, but I've just chosen to anyways. If they said that, I wouldn't be so suspicious. But it's when these people that I talk to just feel like it's just this beautiful blanket of medicine that is perfect. There are no faults. Nothing has ever gone wrong. That makes me very suspicious. So strange actions like that are what create what now has been labeled as conspiracy theory, whereas really it's
I'm
just
really sick
logic.
of that term, by
It's
the
just
way.
logical intelligence brings someone to come up with questions and be suspicious over time. And it's built. It's an action-reaction.
Yeah, and now you
natural
have
thing.
the testimony of Dr. Judy Mikovits, who was an insider back in the days of Fauci and vaccines, who was silenced, but now apparently she's going to be speaking in front of Congress.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens there.
Right.
Also, Dr. Buttar, like, you listen to what he says, and it can be, we don't have a big window to fucking stop this. We really don't, because they've been rolling out the 5G. They're pushing for the mandatory vaccines, or at least widespread vaccinations. It looks like approximately half the population in the United States, and I would imagine it's pretty much
Same here.
similar here, are going to go for it. And, once all that comes into play together, that's when you're really going to see this so-called second wave that they're all predicting in the fall, which they're going to then blame on everything being opened or open with
Or they'll blame it
following
on those who
certain
don't get the
precautions
vaccine. Watch.
or whatever. Yeah, it always comes back to that, and that's why. So if we're being a little bit strong-willed on this, that is the reason. Yeah, because it always comes back to that the ones who need to feel safe insist that everybody else has to do the same. And it's like, no fucking way.
Yeah. Buy us a country and let us live there. You guys do your vaccine reality and we'll watch from a distance.
Well, one way or the other, Mr. Mengele Gates is getting his Depop. People pinging off here, there, domestic violence is up, all kinds of shit. All kinds of shit.
The amount of small businesses around the world that are going
suicides are
bankrupt,
up as well. It's like, fuck off, you assholes. Really, they are assholes, the elite, and they need to be unmasked. The ones who are trying to mask us need to be unmasked.
Yeah. I feel a bit irritated towards those that hook, line, and sinker are buying into this thing and ignoring all this fallout, because they get access to, they have as much opportunity to find the information other than mainstream news channels.
It's like a battle of beliefs right now. It really is. And I mean, I really am focused on not going into that place of frustration, but I do acknowledge that frustrated feelings do come up and the occasional anger rears up, but then it's like, okay, that's an area I need to look at within myself. Why am I getting triggered? And then I do.
Well, you know what triggered me the other day was my sister actually posted or shared a whole story about some virologist who's in his 70s and blah, 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 blah. And, he had all these, it was like carefully crafted
Propaganda.
for sure. And I didn't see. Okay, I mean, the point of bringing this up is he has a story. He learns his lesson by getting this virus, and he suffers greatly. And he gets home after the hospital has pulled him through this thing where he's even not able to help out.
Doesn't say what
And
treatment he got.
Balls his head off.
Yes.
When he gets home, has to mention that, and then says the only hope in hell of us surviving as a species is to wait for and possibly early vaccine arrival in September. It's the only hope. Like across the board, he is the expert on this. It is the only hope. There is no other hope whatsoever. Meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of medications that have been surfaced and brought up, and they've tried these things out, and they work over and over and over again, and quickly and cheaply, and many doctors have got up and spoken about this.
Yes, and those medicines, just to have it on the record again, is hydrochloroquine, so HCT, plus or minus azithromycin, depending on the severity of the case, plus zinc. Those three ingredients have been effective, or even the two, HCT plus zinc, and of course add vitamin D, vitamin C to that. People get relief from their symptoms within 5 hours, and definitely within 24 hours, even in severe cases.
But yet this expert, who coincidentally used to be on the WHO.
Yeah, I used to work for the WHO, World Health Organization, and the United Nations. Oh gee, no conflict of interest there. No. Yeah.
And yet he slaps down this big story that, wonderful people like my sister get pulled into and believe like he's a god.
People need to realize that the deep state, if you want to call it the deep state, the elite, the shadow government, whatever fucking word you want to use for all this, they are not holding back. They have let everything loose, and they have their own bought and paid for experts and scientists and all that
We're
shit.
paying for it. We pay for those experts.
We have
just
paid
so you know.
for them. Yes. So, and they're throwing it all out there because you know what? They're in retreat right now. They're in retreat. We've been at the tipping point, but I think we've already tipped. So we'll see. The next few weeks will be very interesting.
But the question being what I mentioned earlier, why does that one guy get that? Like, this is a question to ask yourself. This is suspicious. Why does this expert get treated like this? And then another expert that might actually have more credentials than him, who speaks their truth, not a propaganda statement, but just speaks their truth from experience, not a manufactured ordeal.
Like Dr. G.
Like
Dr. G. Mikovits, and they silence her. They throw her in jail with no charges.
Look at the difference of treatment here. Expert. Why is this expert put up on a pedestal and this expert is crushed?
Yeah, censored. How many
Do your
people
senses not
found
tingle?
their posts have been censored, especially on Facebook? I mean, Twitter's bad enough, but Facebook, oh my god.
Well, it's like the German scientist. I forgot his full name. Professor Newt, someone or other. One of the people that I posted that a lot of people had an issue with, some of the other speakers spoke highly of him and said, okay, this guy is sound. Like, his argument, everything is legit. This is a great post. He got censored. So if no one is getting a little tingle to say, okay, even if they say, okay, ultimately I'm totally, let's get this vaccine, let's do whatever, fine. But does this not kind of shake your confidence a little? Make you wonder that you might be being manipulated? And I don't know. Remember, each one of you guys chooses our future. You get
your
a vote.
future, which collectively becomes ours.
Becomes ours. It influences. Like, we can hold out on something, but it's still going to affect us in some way.
In some way. We'll see how it all splits down the line. because I think that's the direction it's going. I'd love to see it just go like a total tipping point and then the whole world
And everyone's happy.
that would be
It's
all
just
fucking
fine.
wonderful, but I wish I didn't doubt it, but I doubt it. I think it's gonna be more like a bifurcation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're gonna have their immunity passports, and they're gonna be able to do this, that, and the other thing, and the rest of us are going to be creating a different world with different people and who have different values, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm done with virtual reality.
Yeah, I'm done. I used to think it was something really cool back in the day.
Well,
Remember?
everything's so virtual. Why don't they just give you a virtual vaccine?
Hey, that's a great idea.
You know, why are they so reliant on the physical?
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a great
But I
idea.
guess if we had our neural threading,
Mhm.
maybe it would be a virtual vaccine. Maybe that will be part of the sales pitch. Get your neural threading, and it'll be the last time you have to have holes put in your body. Then we can just do it virtually.
They may, you know. They may. Maybe Elon is watching.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Strange world we are in.
Yeah.
But I aim to make it as wonderful as I can.
As beautiful as we can.
As beautiful as we can. As
Magical
inclusive
as we can. Yes, as
Despite
practical as we
any
can.
bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's what creativity is.
Yeah.
Creativity. The challenge
And
is
as healthy
to
as we can.
make
Away
a
from
beautiful world.
like
Yeah.
fucking high radiation and all that shit that they're trying to push down on
Yeah.
us.
I'd like to confirm one way or the other whether there has been 5G
I'm gonna check it out this afternoon when we go.
receivers or whatever they are.
When we go into Bancroft,
Yeah.
I'm going to actually drive over to the water tower and I'm gonna look for those receivers if they're there, and I'm gonna take photographs if they are there. But it would be good to know, and I also want to find out about Barry's Bay because
We
you
can
gotta know what's
also-
going around.
But if you find photos, then we have to confirm. Like there must be like whatever place in the news or wherever we can call and say, what are those?
There's got to be probably
Some
municipality
confirmation,
or something down in Bancroft we could ask.
Because then then if you release that, it's confirmed one way or another. Or if you're lied to, at least you can say, well, this is what I was told, but I'm suspicious, or whatever. It would be good to have that information, and because it's a small town, maybe it's easier to do. That's
Yeah, and we really have to mobilize and get those letters out. I'm going to work on that today.
interesting. Pam was saying that loads of people from the city are coming up, moving into their cottages. Like it's a big movement.
Yep, it's happening up here.
People
People
are-
from the city are moving
Moving up
en
here,
masse with
renovating to turn their cottage into a four season.
Yeah, they're probably got their houses up for sale in the city, and we had said that was going to happen. It's happening now in a big way. So it's been like the invasion of the city folk.
Yeah. Well, from the perspective of the locals here, I haven't heard anyone yet that's happy about that.
No,
And then from the perspective of people in the city, everyone's different. So who knows what each person's motivation is or full reasoning is, whether they plan to, what their plans are, if it's just a retreat. Because there's different ways that you would do something like this. Like one would be running away from, one could be a very calm, you've done all your research and you just say, okay, I'm ready to do this now.
but it's interesting that they feel safer out here.
Safer, yeah.
That's
Well,
the
I
key
do.
point.
I feel safer,
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether it's an illusion or not.
And if
I
they're
do.
running, let's say from 5G rollout in the city, if that's one of the motivations, then I'm going to find them and get them to help us fight 5G coming into this area. So
Well, a lot of people who would be moving out because of that, I would imagine some of them would be moving out because they're actually having symptoms. Like they're the more sensitive people, that are having an issue and therefore they're moving out. Maybe some are just because they've had enough of the story and don't want to take a risk. Maybe, I don't know. But usually the first people that move out because of something, they're they're more sensitive than some people. So right away they're like, I can't handle this. You know, it brings me back to when I wanted to leave the city, and I was walking around everywhere with my little Gauss meter, you know, checking the electromagnetic frequencies. And
When was that? That was like 2000 and... When was that?
oh, well, it's 20 years ago. Easy.
We
Easy 20
moved
years
to
ago.
Ferguson 2005, so it was at least around
2003.
2003.
Easy.
It was at the time of the SARS outbreak.
Yeah.
Everybody remember that? Pandemic or whatever it was back then. Of course, we didn't have to wear masks, and we didn't have to, I mean, I was in the Pride Parade that year in 2003.
Oh, we got Biddy. We went to Georgia and got Little Bit,
Yeah,
our little puppy.
yeah.
And I remember I had a sore throat,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in the airport, and I went in to get some Halls, and everyone looked at me when I bought the Halls, and I felt like a leper or something. You know? But it's also when coming home, I got to bring a Little Bit, who was this big, naked little doggy, and brought her in the cabin. And the lady sitting next to me just happened to be someone who panicked flying, and turned out that she was having a panic attack right next to me, and I pulled out the puppy, and it totally took her right through the flight without panicking. But she told me that she cannot fly unless she has medication, and she'd got to where she could bring the medication and sometimes not use it, but just knowing it was there was enough. This time she forgot her medication, so she was absolutely freaking out. She had a paper bag over her face, trying to breathe through that. Her husband looked panicky, and I pulled a Little Bit out, and Little Bit healed her, basically. And she said at the end, she said, I've actually now, because a Little Bit, I have made it through a flight without medication even on me, so it had shifted everything for her.
Yeah. You got to help empower that lady.
Yeah. Even with my sore throat. I'll tell you, it became a sore throat talking. I had to talk to this lady for the whole ride, hours and hours. But it was really worth it because it was a great experience overall. You know, when there's great communication between people, life can be, you know, between strangers can be an amazing thing to experience, and that was one of my favorite experiences, an unknown person, and what spontaneously happened. And she said, what are the chances that when this happened to me, there's a hairless puppy with a person sitting right beside me, not in another part of the plane even, but right beside me? What are the chances? She said, that to me is a miracle.
I love those
And I experienced
miraculous coincidences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's going to be lots of those
Yeah.
during this time. These times bring those
Yeah.
situations
And people
out.
will come together based on their shared values. That's the energy that's going to bring people together, and others will go their own way and find their own mirrors that they can dance in front of. You know. So.
And for all the friendships that you've lost, there will be profound friendships that you will gain.
Yep.
I'm not going to talk quantity because it's quality.
Mm-hmm. It is quality.
You know, one deep friend that surfaces or you just confirm during difficult times is a deep and wonderful connection to have or to have made. And those kinds of friendships only get polished in times like this, in difficult times. That's why, you know, in all the movies and stories and things that, you know, it's always quite often about a friendship that evolves or is created during difficult times, and those friendships are beyond, you know,
I think
they're
so.
not Facebook, oh, I friended someone on Facebook kind of friend.
It's always in times of adversity, right? You'll see where people's strengths are and where they aren't. And I think that is more...
People are called on it, and you
Yeah.
just go, well, yeah, I like that person. It's like Rick at the garage we go to for our car. You know, we liked him a lot before this all happened. but we just the way he is in this situation just sheds more light on how much and why we like him, and with many other people as well, or other people where we were kind of friends from the past. So it's that kind of lineage thing where, wow, we've kind of been friends for 30 years.
In the
or whatever.
past that we had shared and had a lot
Yeah.
of fun in and really good times and so on. And then it's very different now.
And you have to let go.
Yeah.
You know, these things don't hold water. They weren't really there to begin with. They were a facade of sorts. And I think that's part of what we're learning now is a new kind of connection. Some that we already had, and a situation like this just sheds more light on it, how strong it is. And that doesn't mean, just to clarify, it doesn't mean that those people have to have the same story or believe the same thing. It's a different level of connection that involves respect and honoring that other person's journey and not judging other people. So it can form amongst two people that have different views on things. So it's not that people are having to gang up into, oh, you believe this, okay, you're on my team, oh, you're on my team. No, it's the way people.
But it'll
walk through.
naturally,
There will be a bit of
naturally shift anyway.
over
That's
time.
going to happen. It's just going to be, do I want to be around that energy now? I've tried presenting, I've tried arguing, I've tried this, and then it falls always on deaf ears, or it always comes back to the same one. And then at some point you gotta go, okay, I'm not interested.
enough of that.
I've had enough of this. Goodbye. And that's what you do. You just move on.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, if you're happy with your truth, there it is. You don't need to convince anyone else. You don't need to be convinced.
You know what you know.
You know what you know, and that will be, more light will be shed on it one way or another over time.
Yep.
Build your way you perceive the world over time, but I still feel very optimistic. I don't profess to know what's happening in the future, and I don't want to know really.
I do.
Well,
I
do
want
and
to
I don't.
know. But you know, I know what you mean about feeling optimistic. I also surprisingly feel optimistic. There are times it gets to me, for sure. You know, like when the latest contact tracer thing, it's like, oh, fuck off. Yeah, I get annoyed and I get pissed off and so on. But then I feel that, express it, and then move on from there. And I always come back to a more optimistic place, I guess. It's really, and whether I just need to believe in something beautiful, in a future that is beautiful. It's what we want, what we are creating, rather than a fucking dystopia. I'm not interested in dystopia or their 2030 utopia. They can fucking have it.
Yeah, where everyone's plugged in.
Yeah. Anyhow, we need to get on with our day. I got some letters to send out and other things to do. And you've got a door to start drawing on.
I adore my door.
I adore your door too. Yeah.
And this episode is dedicated to Josie B.